Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment course from New Earth One Network. This is designed exclusively for your higher self connection and embodiment. This is Awaken Your Divine Potential with Dr. Lotte Valentin. She's had 2 near-death experiences, which you can learn more about also on this webpage. But that experience truly allowed her to step into her mission and purpose on life and develop other gifts as well that she'll talk about. Today, we're talking about a beautiful course. Here's Dr. Lotte. Hi, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I just love to share the wisdom I've gained over the years with. So I
Beautiful.
developed this course, and it's called Awaken Your Divine Potential. And this is the introduction course to that, because there's 3 more modules that go along with this. So I created this course to help other people find their path and their soul's purpose in life, and to help them heal, not just physically, because I went to med school, right? So I work as a physician, but it's so important to create healing emotionally and spiritually, as well as physically. We're going to be talking about all these different topics as we go along. So I'm hoping to give you some wings that will help you transform your life and discover your true divine potential that you already have in your heart. So in this introduction course, we're going to be talking about the first steps to finding your divine potential, connecting with what I call the inner light. What is love, and how do we really look at that? We tend to think love is just love for somebody else, but the universal love, we're going to be talking more about that. The importance of affirmations when you're trying to change who you are and where you're going. The creation of energy and how you feel energy. Different forms of healing. And lastly, we're going to be talking about your incarnation and what you may have signed up for in this life. So if you like this introduction course, there's 3 more modules, and it's an online self-study course. So you can go back to this and do this over and over again. And in the first module, we're going to be learning a lot about different types of meditation techniques that will allow you to expand your awareness and get guidance from not only your higher self, but also from spirit guides. And that is also the next topic. How do we connect with our spirit guides? And I'll be teaching you to do that and learning, so you can learn how to receive messages and tune into all that guidance that is readily available for you. Also, we'll be touching a little bit upon the significance of spirit animals and the animals that come into your life, whether you are aware of it or not. Sometimes we see the same bird on the street every day, and what is the significance of this? Then we'll be talking about the frequencies of the heart and the importance of the electromagnetic fields and what that really does. Then we'll be also be talking about creating and feeling energy and the importance of that and how to create control over that feeling of energy. And we'll be doing just a little mini exercise about that today. Also, how do you improve your intuition? We have intuition, we all have intuition, but you can do things to improve that. And we'll be talking about that as well. And then learning to live from the heart space, not just saying, a lot of people will say that they're doing things, but they're not really truly embodying it in their daily life experience. So we're going to be creating awareness of that, and then I'll try to teach you how to stay in that space so that you can live more from your heart space instead of listening to your chatty mind all the time. And then lastly, we'll be learning to journaling your future, and this is something that you do to help manifest that which you are trying to create. So those are the general overview of the different topics that will be covered in modules 1 through 3. So today we're going to focus on the introduction to all these different topics. So just a little bit about me, and as Lorraine mentioned, she's done an interview with me before where I describe my near-death experiences in detail. So today, for those of you that are not familiar with my past, I did have 2 near-death out-of-body experiences, and these experiences made me clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, and claircognizant. And let me just review those terms for you because some of you might not be clear on what that means. So clairvoyant is when people see things and they typically see images or like a slideshow, and it's very visual. That information comes to them in a visual way. Clairaudient is when you're hearing things, but it's not with your physical ears. It's more of an omnipresent type of hearing. You just heard something, but nobody else could hear it. Just you heard it. But it's not like hearing a song inside your head. It's just coming from somewhere. Clairsentient means that you're feeling things and you get that sensation in your body. And a lot of those of you that are empaths, you know what that means. You pick up on the feelings of other people very easily. And then last, claircognizant is when you just have a knowing of something. You just know that this is going to happen, or you know somebody's going to call you. That is claircognizant. So a lot of you may already recognize this now, saying to yourself, oh, I do that. I hear things, I feel things, I see things, right? But you never realize that these are your intuitive capabilities. But how do we develop that so we can actually use it when we want to use it, not just when sort of the spirit world drops in on you. So it literally took me a quarter of a century to understand the concepts of all these different things and how things are interconnected and how we can find our soul's journey. So now I'm really excited to be able to pass on this information and knowledge to all of you so that it can help you find your soul's purpose and transform your life and just live your life to your fullest potential. So I'm not going to be talking about my near-death experiences, but the wisdom that I've gained from these experiences, as well as working as a physician, evidential psychic medium, medical intuitive, and ancestral healer. So what I have done is sort of combined my knowledge that I have gained from all these different areas of my life and try to help you find the correct path in your life and your divine potential. Also, I wrote a book about these, and the book is called Med School After Menopause, The Journey of My Soul. And it's really a book about healing, transformation, and spirituality. And the teachings of these modules are based on this book. So if you want to dive even deeper and get a deeper knowledge of it, then check out my book and see if you can get some more information from that. I also have my own podcast called Dr. Lotte Science with Soul. and it's trying to help bridge the gap between science and soul for people. And I interview anything from a spiritual leader or educator to physicians, and other researchers that are finding new ways to provide healing for people that may not be part of the mainstream education for physicians. So I'm trying to create awareness for people so that it's a mix of uh, different holistic healers and doctors, as well as spiritual leaders. So let's talk about the divine potential, or how we awaken that divine potential. So a lot of times we ask ourselves, who are you? Who am I? Where did I come from? What is my purpose in life? But how do we figure these things out? Sometimes we go through our entire life, and it's not until we are in our 80s or maybe 90s that we realize that we worked this job our whole life and we provided for the family, we earned an income, we did everything, and we were kind of just on this track. But maybe then later in life, all of a sudden, when we're not working anymore, we realize that we had all these other things that we wanted to do. But the time to do them is now, not to wait until you get old, not to wait until you retire, but transform your life now and live your life to the highest potential that you can. So, what is your soul's journey? And what do I mean when I say heart's way? Well, to understand yourself and what your soul's journey is, we really need to build a pyramid of knowledge to fully understand how everything is interconnected. So, when I stood in that light during one of my two near death experiences, what I was shown was that that light is of unconditional love. And we have this light inside us because we come from the light. We return to the light, and we carry the light within us. So, this light that we carry within us, what is that? Well, it's really love, because our reality is based on love. We come from love. We are love and light. And we carry the light of love within us, and we return to love. But we tend to forget these things as we go through life. And how do we connect to this light? What is it? And how do we make that light shine brighter? Well, you can think of it as a little tiny burning candle inside you, but that candle increases in its intensity as you allow yourself to listen to your heart. It is in your heart that you will find the courage of being the person you were born to be, not in your mind, not by your surroundings, and not by other people, and not by all the likes and clicks you get on Facebook and Instagram and all the other social media platforms. It is that light is really your inner spark. It is what makes you tick. And when you listen to your gut feelings and honor your heart and finding your passion in your heart, that is what increases the intensity of that light. We even use the phrase, this person is such a bright light. They radiate, they're passionate about what they do in their life. And we want to get closer to these people. We can't figure out what it is. Why is this person so fun to be around? Well, they're just radiant. That's what we say, but we don't even think about, well, why is it that they're so radiant? Because they have a passion. They're living from their heart space. They listen to that passion inside themselves. If you have a passion to repair bicycles, then open a bicycle shop, because everybody's going to take their bike to be looked at by you because you're so passionate about it. So when my children grew up, I used to always tell them the story of them collecting the milk bottle caps. And especially when they were young and getting into their teenage years, and they worried about, well, I don't really know what I'm going to be when I grow up, or what I should major in, and what school do I apply to. And I would tell them, I don't even care if you go to college. The only thing I care about is that you live from your heart space, that you find what you truly love and are passionate about in your life, because that is your true calling. And I would tell them, if you were passionate about collecting milk bottle caps, then you would have such a big collection, and you would have plastic caps and you would have metal caps, and they would be of different colors and they would come from different parts of the world. And everybody would start to get curious about these milk bottle caps that you're collecting. And eventually you open a museum and people come from all over the world just to see your collection of milk bottle caps. Now, it sounds so silly, doesn't it? The milk bottle caps. But think about it. That's really what it is. We get passionate about seeing other people being passionate about something, and we want to know why and how they're so passionate about it, and we just want to learn more about it. So that is what I mean when I say listen to your heart, because that passion that you find in your heart space is your true soul's purpose. And that is what makes your light shine brighter. So when you connect with your inner light, you allow yourself to do what you love, and your light will automatically shine brighter. And now it's like you have several candles burning because your light is glowing. So ask yourself, is your light bright like a sparkler or a candle? Or is it more dim, old, weak, burnt out night light, right? What is your light like right now? Do you feel the intensity? Does it shine brightly? So if your spark inside of you is not bright, guess what? Only you can change it. Nobody else can, because you create your own life. Nobody else. And we, as the human population on Earth, create the world we live in. Now, I often hear people complaining about, I don't like how they're doing this or that. Well, are you doing something to change it? Because we created the society we live in and the world that we live in. And if you don't like something, you need to speak up and you need to help create that change, because we are the change. We are the humans that are living in this environment on Earth. So ask yourself, do you want to be the driver or the passenger of your own life? Well, hopefully you said you want to be the driver of your own life. So how do we connect with that inner light and find that passion? Because sometimes we are just on this treadmill, and many times I get questions, I don't even know what it is I like. I'm just in this rut of existing, like I'm running in the hamster wheel. So the first thing you have to do is learn to connect from that very chatty brain you have, because we are human and we think all the time. Even when we try not to think, we're still thinking. So you have to learn to sort of disconnect with that chatty brain that keeps telling you that doing anything different than you're doing right now would not be a wise idea. So you kind of have to take the brain out and leave it on top of the fridge and just let it collect some dust up there while you go and have a heart-to-heart talk with your heart. So you're going to start by learning to listen to the heart, and we'll be covering the heart and the frequencies of the heart in more detail in one of the later modules. But for right now, just try to learn to disconnect that brain. And those of you that are familiar with Oprah Winfrey's quote, I love this quote, and I have this in my book as well. And she says, there is no greater gift you can receive or give than to honor your calling. It is why you were born and how you become most truly alive. And this couldn't make any more sense. This is what makes your light shine brightly. It is to honor that calling, that soul's purpose that you hold in your heart. So now that we're learning to connect with our heart space, we have to make sure that we disconnect from that ego and that we focus on love. So we tend to get stuck in that ego and looking for confirmation and affirmation from everybody else, I got a new haircut. I want to post it on Instagram and Facebook, and I want 100 likes for this. And we get our little dopamine rush from all of this. But what I want you to do is try to find that love for yourself inside of you. And it's connecting to the knowing that you are love and light. And you don't need confirmations and affirmations from the outside world, but you need to just look within yourselves. So, talking about love a little bit, the energy that we create when we create that love for ourselves and we find the soul's purpose, that energy and that frequency that you create is what you send, also what you send out. So, what you send out is also what you get back. So, how do we change that frequency? Well, one great way is to start by giving yourself affirmations. And it's all about creating positive affirmations, because most human beings have this little chatterbox going on in their mind telling them, oh no, you don't do that right. Oh no, you're not as beautiful as this other person, or you're not as smart, you're not as successful. This negative self-talk that goes on in our brains, you want to get rid of that, and you want to replace that with positive affirmations, because when you have positive affirmations, you're going to change the energy within your body. You therefore change what it is that you're sending out. You therefore change how you think about yourself and what you're able to do. And with all that comes change and transformation in your heart space. So we're going to practice this a little bit right now. I want you to put your hand on your heart and then say out loud, or you can say it in your head if you can't speak out loud, I am beautiful. I am successful. I am smart. I am happy. I am worthy. And it doesn't matter what you think about yourself or if you needed these affirmations, because the fact that you're saying them reinforces that, because you just said it, you heard it, you vibrated at the frequency of these words in your body. And so it is actually changing you way more than you think it is. So I want you to just take 2 minutes, and I want you to jot down on a piece of paper or an envelope or your cell phone. If you have your cell phone ready, some people take notes on their cell phone. Write down 5 things that you would like to tell yourself on a daily basis for the next, sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's 4 weeks. It depends. You'll know when you don't have to tell yourself these things anymore, and then you can change your list. But for right now, write down 5 things that you feel you could improve on and that you should be telling yourself. All right, here we go. And you have 1 minute left. And 30 seconds left. So hopefully you have an affirmation list now. If you wrote down on the phone, then transfer it to a piece of paper later. I want you to take this paper and tape it to your bathroom mirror or refrigerator, anywhere where you are going to see it several times per day. And each time you pass this piece of paper with your affirmations on it, I want you to put your hand on your heart. And if you're in the bathroom, then look in the mirror and at yourself as you say these affirmations out loud to yourself, because that is going to change you. And for some people, this is actually quite a hard exercise. I often do this with my patients, and they come back and they say, this was way harder than I thought, because to look in the mirror and to tell myself that I am beautiful is one of the hardest things for people. So practice this. If this is something that's hard for you, practice it and go with the things that may be hard for you. Go all the way, because this is how you are going to change who you are and how you view yourself. But now, it's not really enough to just say things. So a lot of you have probably learned about how to manifest things. Well, we don't manifest becoming a physician by sitting on the couch. We actually have to put things in motion and go to school and learn things. And it's the same with everything else. But what's really important is creating that feeling. And we'll be going more deeper into this in the other modules. But for now, I just want to give you a taste of this. So with the affirmations that you just wrote, I'm going to play some music for 2 minutes. You are going to look at this affirmation, and then you are going to create that feeling inside of you. So, for example, if you wrote, I am beautiful, then how does that feel in your body when you tell yourself that? Create that nice feeling. Oh, wow. Yeah, I am beautiful, or I am successful. What does it feel like? What's that feeling of being successful inside of you? So, whatever your affirmations were, I want you to take 2 minutes and if you need to open your eyes to read the next affirmation, that's fine. But we're just going to take 2 minutes to create that feeling. So, here we go. So I'll read your affirmation and create that feeling in your body. And you have 1 minute left. And if you finish your list, go back to the beginning and do it again. And start to come back. Wiggle your toes and fingers and open your eyes. So these affirmations, both ways are beneficial. So looking in the mirror and telling yourself things are helpful because you're hearing it, you're seeing it, but then also creating that feeling in your body is important. So if you can practice it both ways, that is the best. So let's see. Um, what's happening with these affirmations is that you're changing the energy within your core, within your body, and you're creating this positive energy instead of, having that negative talk that 99% of the people have. They have negative thoughts about different things, but you want to work on consistently creating this positive energy within yourself. I will be talking more about energy in the later modules as well. So, this positive energy you're creating is really what you're training to keep inside of you at all times. It is the first step to creating a shift, because once you can feel it, once you can say it, once you can hear it, then everything sort of falls into place. Because in the end, everything is energy. And I think it's in one of the modules, I forget which one, we talk a lot about the electromagnetic fields and the energy resonate coming out of your heart space. Heart space. So we're all familiar with energy, right? Where we can pick up on energy, good energy, bad energy. If you walk into a room and there has been an argument, there's like electricity in the air, and you can feel that. And when somebody likes you or loves you and sending you love looks, you can feel that love. You feel it. So we are intuitive creatures. It's just a matter of tuning into it. And that energy that you create is also what you send out. So what you send out is what comes back, because energy is kind of like a boomerang. So, you toss out anger and hate, what comes back is anger and hate. If you toss out love, then love comes back. And you know this, if you walked into a room and you were angry at everyone, probably somebody would, you make the people angry and then start being angry at you. But if you go into a room and you're happy and you're loving and you're handing out hugs, even if the people were mad, they're going to start giving you a hug back because, oh, this is so nice, like the energy. And we all feel that, but we want to be able to control it all the time. So let's talk briefly about healing. So, what do I mean by healing? Well, everybody needs healing. It's not just people that are physically sick. People work on emotional problems, spiritual problems, and physical problems all the time. So, there are different types of healing. So, the number one thing is that anything that you need to heal can only be done by you. I work as a healer, I work as a physician. I can't heal you, only you can heal yourself. I can facilitate your healing and I can teach you tools and I can guide you, but you are in charge of your own life. So only you are the person that can truly heal yourself. And it's just like we say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And healing yourself always comes back to loving and accepting yourself. It all begins there. So we can talk about healing the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual. But how do we create healing? So some people, even if they're physically sick, like Anita Morjani, who had end stage lymphoma and tumors the size of lemons, and her family was called in and they said, this is it, her organs are failing. She had a near death experience, went to the other side, then came back and miraculously healed and was released from the hospital just a few weeks later with no signs of cancer. And sometimes we do heal spontaneously, but it's not the norm, right? So, and the question I get a lot is, well, I'm a spiritual person, I can heal myself. But the truth is that if it's manifested physically, we need to use the tools in our physical environment to provide healing for the physical. And it might be a pharmaceutical drug, it might be a botanical medicine, acupuncture, homeopathy, nutrition, whatever it is. But if you have a physical problem, use all the tools that you have available, all the different types of physical healing methods, and combine it with energy healing and spiritual healing, because then you're using all your tools that are available to you. You don't have to choose one or the other. Okay. So I get this a lot because I am a spiritual person and I work as a physician. And I try to tell people, just use all the tools you have. Let's figure out what works for you. And you don't have to feel bad that you can't heal something spiritually or energetically just because you are a spiritual person. Sometimes we have to take medications for the rest of our life, but that was the healing that was provided. You now heal the physical by taking that medication or that herb or whatever it is that you have to do. So I want you, number one is don't feel bad about that. That may have been the healing for you in this lifetime, in your life path. So we can learn to manage our physical problems. The thing is that once you have a physical ailment or a mental emotional problem or a spiritual problem, all you can really do is work at those problems and try to heal them. So many times, you hear people talk about, oh, just, drink celery juice and do yoga, it's going to treat everything. Well, the truth is that some people actually do need surgery. And people will say, oh, my aunt gave herself cancer because she's so angry. Now, it is true that the environment plays a role, and we'll be talking about that also in a later module. But people tend to forget that even babies are born with tumors and cancer. They weren't mad when they were in the womb. They might have had a great experience and the mother was in perfect health the whole time. They were still born with cancer. So we tend to forget these things and we tend to simplify why people are sick. So most diseases can't be cured by yoga and celery juice, even if it did work for someone, because life is much more complex than this. And people try to simplify it as this or that. But it's 100 factors that play a role. And we may have incarnated with a disease to have a certain experience, or giving those around us an experience to care for us. Or you might have inherited DNA predisposing you to certain diseases, which then interacts with the environment you're raised in or living in. And even trauma can be transferred through DNA. And we'll talk about that in the ancestral course. And you can find more information on an interview I did with Lorraine Gailey on that as well. So sometimes we can heal the physical through a spiritual event, like Anita Morjani went to the other side, came back, cancer disappeared. But sometimes having a spiritual healing might not heal the physical, but it might heal the person spiritually, and that person may only have 3 to 6 months left to live. But by having a spiritual healing, it is easing their transition to the other side. So whenever we experience a healing crisis of some sort, being physical, emotional, or spiritual, we have a tendency to think that other people have it a lot easier than we do. We look down the street and we're saying, wow, those people, they have it so much easier. But the truth is that they don't. It looks good on the surface. Trust me, everybody has problems. And there is no such thing as an easy life, because then why did we incarnate? We all have problems to solve in our life. And we tend to learn more from the hardships and the difficult periods in our life than our good experiences. So when we incarnate and we have all these problems to solve, it's like we're healing our own wounds. And it's, in a sense, what we're here to do. And it's just a matter of taking a step back when we experience these problems. So think about it this way. Imagine that before you incarnated, you were hanging out with the future Earth partners and friends and family up in the spirit world. And you made a plan, what you wanted to learn in this next life. So you take out your bright yellow sticky notepads and you start writing down all these different problems and obstacles that you're going to have in this next life. So you're like, okay, problem number one, I'm going to be allergic to gluten, because that's going to be a big problem. Everybody's going to be allergic to gluten. Going to have to change my diet. That'll be a really good lesson for me. Problem two, I think I'm going to major in the wrong thing in college. That way I'm going to have to change tracks halfway through my life and go back to school. Problem number three, oh, my marriage is definitely not going to work out. That's a lot of lessons about relationships. So I'll definitely have to go through a divorce. I think I'll also experience a disease. Having a physical problem, that always gives you a lot of life lessons. And problem number 5, oh, I definitely want to be there for year 2020. It's going to be a world pandemic. Oh, that's going to provide so many lessons for me. Problem number 6, I think I'm also going to experience economic hardships at some point in my life, because that always gives you a lot of lessons too, and how we worry about that. But then things always tend to work out anyway because life is that way. But it will give me a really good opportunity to learn things. So then you put all the sticky notes in your backpack, you put your backpack on your back, you get your wings on, and you're ready to incarnate. And you fly down to earth, all your other buddies that you decided to incarnate with. And you fly into your mother's womb, and all of a sudden you've forgotten what you wrote down on all those sticky notes. It's just gone. But then as you go through life, these sticky notes start to appear. And when you feel inundated with all these sticky notes, with all these problems on them, tell yourself, boy, I signed up for a lot in this life. I have so many sticky notes in my backpack, and I just keep pulling them out one after the other. What was I thinking when I was on the other side? This is way too many problems. But take that step back and look at it in a more funny way, and how you have probably signed up for this. So each time you solve these problems that you have in your backpack, your load gets lighter because you get rid of that sticky note. So you go through life and you keep taking these sticky notes out as you go. So, how many of your obstacles have you already solved and healed in this lifetime? I bet it's quite a few if you start counting them up. But when you're in the middle, it's like you just go to the next sticky note. You pull one out, you rip it out, you're done with that one. Take the next sticky note out, because you've got to get through that backpack in this lifetime. You want to get through as many as you can. You don't want to come back with the same backpack in your next life. So think about it this way. Is your backpack getting lighter? It probably is. So give yourself a pat on the back. It's almost like, we solve this task, and then we grab our little star, and then we go to the next level, and then we get the next problem. And sometimes the problems get easier and sometimes they get harder. It just depends the order you stuffed your backpack before you incarnated. You put them in a specific order for your journey and your soul's journey in this lifetime. But sometimes, have you ever noticed that the same problem keeps surfacing over and over? Think about it this way. When you see that problem coming back to you and you're thinking, wow, this keeps happening to me. It just happens over and over. It's like you're stuck in an energy loop. Think about the spirit world, what they're thinking. They're like, oh my gosh, we gave her this problem and now she's doing it again. We got to give her another chance. She's got to solve this one. Give her another chance, present her with the same problem again. And we go back, we try to resolve it. Same thing happens. We're stuck in this loop. And the spirit world says, okay, third chance, give her another chance. And here comes the problem again. And eventually, as you learn to change your perception of the problem in order to solve it, you get out of that energetic loop that you found yourself stuck in. So what's also important when we get stuck in these loops and affirmations is to create gratitude. And think of it this way. You only have room for one thought at a time. Make sure it's gratitude. Because again, you're changing the energy in your body. You're changing the frequency that you resonate at by giving yourself positive affirmation and by changing things, your negative talk to gratitude. So I want you to start a gratitude journal, and I want you to write down 5 things every day that you're grateful for. And you will notice that after even just a week, it gets harder because you have to become grateful for even the smallest things. So, an example would be, I'm grateful for being alive. I'm grateful for my toothbrush. I am definitely grateful for chocolate. I'm grateful for flowers. And I'm grateful today that you are ready to find your divine potential. So, if you enjoy this introductory course, there are ways you can go and sign up for the other 3 modules. And let me just tell you briefly what those other modules are about. So in module 1, it's going to be highly experimental, and we're going to learn different ways of meditating and accessing information from our higher self and heart space and spirit guides, etc. And this particular meditation that will be one of the first things we learn is called sitting in the power. And this is something I learned at Arthur Findlay College in England, where I studied mediumship. And it helps you raise your own frequency, because when you work as a medium, you literally raise your frequency and the spirit world comes down to that frequency. You sort of meet halfway, and so it increases the frequency of you yourself, your soul, your person, your being. Then we're going to talk about the importance of intention and healing, and how to move from the mind to the heart space, because we have to learn to disconnect that mind. We're going to be talking about the frequency, the electromagnetic fields around the heart, and what that really means. And feeling energy and the importance of creating that feeling inside of you, which we touched upon a little bit today. And also how to create hope when we are in tough situations, especially after a year like 2020, when most people had at some point were feeling hopeless, and the importance of creating that hope. In module 2, we'll be talking about messages from the spirit world, also the importance of spontaneity, creativity, and imagination, and messages from children and what children can teach us, and the importance of your body and how it really is your temple, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and how to keep that in a balanced form. And in module 3, we will talk about the baby steps and how they lead to the bigger steps, and how we start that snowball rolling down the hill. We'll also be learning how to connect with our spirit guides. We'll be doing a meditation on that. And the significance and importance of spirit animals in your life, and when you see an animal, what does that mean, etc. The magic of intuition and how we can improve our intuitive capabilities, because we all have intuition, but when we start training it, it comes more readily. It's more readily available to you when you need it. And lastly, we're going to be learning how to journal our own future, and so we can then manifest that future that we are trying to create. So I thank you all for tuning in, and just thank you for being you.
Thank you, Dr. Lotte. We feel empowered. I just want to say the feeling that you took us through in that little process, I hope everyone truly uses that and implements it in their life. It does work. And what an incredible gift that is. Just that alone will help someone raise their vibration tremendously. Now, I wanted to have you share a little bit more. The feeling in the body is also very important. Do you want to expand a little bit on cultivating the feeling in our body?
Mhm. Right. So it's really important how we feel in our body, because not only so that's why I started with the affirmations and gratitude, because once you become aware of what your own thoughts are, because to a certain extent we create what we think, so you have to change that thought pattern within yourself, and then change the feeling of that in your own body, because that is really, it is way more important than people think, because it changes the vibrational frequency within yourself, and it literally can create healing. Because think about, for example, somebody who has an ulcer, and they have an ulcer because they're really stressed and they're overworked. And when that person creates a feeling of warmth and I'm successful, I'm loved, I'm calm, you're healing that body. Same thing. I mean, I've done a lot of work with people who have, for example, high blood pressure. But once I can create that feeling and help them create a feeling when they're meditating, doing affirmations, doing gratitude journal, taking time out every day and create a balance in their life, guess what? They get off their blood pressure medication because they're learning to create that feeling of calm and peace within their body. And they start noticing that the blood pressure goes up. Oh, my 4 children are coming home from school and it's chaos in my house and my phone is ringing and my project is due. I got to hand this in. It's got to be done at work and emailed by 5, and it's just constant chaos and blood pressure goes up, and they're just in so much stress. But by creating that awareness and that feeling, then that starts to become familiar. And so now they're thinking, wow, okay, I want to get that feeling that I had when I was meditating earlier, or when I gave myself positive affirmations, or when I created a gratitude journal. It creates a different feeling. And literally with that feeling, you're healing yourself. You're healing your physical ailments, even not just emotional and spiritual. So it's really important to create that sense of feeling. And it's important, we're going to be talking more about it when you are trying to transform your life in any sense. We'll be talking about it in a later module, how to use that as you're trying to create change. But step number one is always, we are living in a rat race. Most of my patients are running in a hamster wheel. They're stressed about life in general and keeping up with everything. Before, it was just work, right? Back in the day, in the 1960s, we just went to work. But now we're keeping up with so many different things and emails and social media platforms, and our people can contact us any day of, with our cell phones. We're reachable 24/7 pretty much. So it's a very different life that we're living now than just 30, 40 years ago.
Yes, so thank you for sharing this wisdom and these teachings. It is helping people to achieve that balance. And I see your work affecting others in the medical field. It brings a smile to my face. And I just thank you once again, because that is the bridge. We've mentioned this before. You truly are a bridge. Consciousness plays a role, and you are helping people to steer their consciousness. Beautiful.
Yes.
We invite all of those watching or listening to sign up for Dr. Lottie's module course. And you can literally get started right away. The details for this is on this webpage. Dr. Lottie, in one of the modules, you talked about the electromagnetic field and heart space. And this is the science, literally the science behind the power of love. And it's more powerful than the mind.
Right. So we're going to go into more detail about the electromagnetic field around the heart. But what we tend to forget is that, when we do an EKG on people, we measure the electrical current in the heart, right? We wouldn't be able to do the EKG because sometimes when you talk to people, they say, well, I don't know about do I have electricity in my body? Yes, you do. Do you have a heart? Right? People forget that we are electromagnetic beings to begin with. So, of course, we are going to, you know, interact with other life forms through that space, and we're going to feel things, people that are empathic, etc. So we a lot of things happen from that heart space because of that electromagnetic field around the heart. And it's so important, to listen to your heart, not just your mind tends to be the thing that gets in the way, and tells you that things are not logical or not a good idea to do, right? How many times did my mind tell me it wasn't a good idea to go to med school? No guarantee I'm even going to graduate. I mean, you might be, if I manage to get accepted It's no guarantee I'm going to get out of that program. And literally almost half my class flunked after the first semester in med school. They did not pass the exams and they were gone. We came back and the classroom was half empty. There is no guarantee there, so but you just have to trust it. You have to trust the messages, and that's what I'm eager to share with people, because we are intuitive creatures. But how do we connect with our spirit guides? How do we become more intuitive? Because I was guided, because I, after 12 years of hearing things, seeing things, and I was guided to go to medical school because the spirit guides told me that's what I had to do. But I had to blindly trust that. I had to trust that this is right and I'm doing the right thing. And um, that is what I'm trying to teach people, is that you have to listen to your heart, not your mind. That's because this is where you hold those frequencies. This is where you hold that light. This is where your soul sort of survives and resides, is in this space. But you have to learn to disconnect that mind that constantly is going to tell you that it's not the right thing, or it's not logical, or it's too risky, right?
Absolutely. And so many that I chat with as well don't know how to listen to the heart. And even myself at first,
Mhm.
that was a question. How do we listen from the heart? How do you
Yeah.
feel into it? And what's interesting, when we're talking about the electromagnetic field that the body
Mhm.
creates, we've learned that thoughts are electric and emotions are magnetic.
Yes, absolutely. That's why we feel, the attractions. We're like magnets, in a sense, and
And
it's important. Yeah.
in listening to the heart, of course, we
Hmm.
can all hear the ego that comes in and talks us out of things. There's something right now that in my own life that I'm looking at, and I know in my heart, I just know in my heart it's the right thing to do. A,
Hmm.
because I'm passionate about it. Two, because
Hmm.
skill sets are there. And
Hmm.
I do it like the back of my hand, and I keep getting ideas about it. I keep seeing
Right.
confirmation in the newspaper about the
Hmm.
need for such a service,
Hmm.
but my ego mind comes in, and it's very interesting to see how it just says, well, maybe someone else is going to think about this. And that's what we need to pay
Hmm.
attention to, right? Right. We really have to just
Yeah.
put one foot in front of the other and go for it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. Because you have to also remember that there's room for all of us in the world.
Yes.
So you doing the exact same thing as somebody else, it's still not the same, because the people that we work with and that we are attracted to, we sort of resonate with those people. We're attracted to them for a reason. And so if somebody else is already doing the thing you're thinking of doing, it doesn't matter, because some people are going to resonate with you, and they don't care for the other person. It's not the right frequency. They don't feel connected to that person, right? And so you could be doing the exact same thing and have as many people as the other person, right? Because that's how it is. And it's otherwise we would only have one doctor, one engineer, one dentist, one of everything in the whole world. But that's not how it is. We can be 1,000 physicians, here in Phoenix, but people are going to seek me out for my services. Or the same thing with mediumship. People are attracted to me and they come, and it tends to be certain things that show up because it is who I am. It is what I'm going to recognize within them and their problems and my experiences, and being a medium and a psychic and an ancestral healer and a medical intuitive. And then I also have the knowledge, physician knowledge on the side, but I'm still working intuitively, or spiritually with these people. But they're drawn to me for some reason. Now there is a gazillion other mediums out there in the world, and they attract certain kind of clientele, and people that need them will seek out them. People who need me seek out me. See what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter, even if somebody else might be doing it or have thought of this thing you're going to do. Just trust that you're getting guided to do it. You can see it, you can feel it, it's part of you. So that it's telling you right there that this is what's coming next. Just do it.
Just do it. Absolutely. And that is listening to the heart. Really beautiful. Let's talk a little bit about imagination as well, because that's
Mhm.
another key component. Some would say, well, it's just my imagination, but exactly.
Right. So you can talk about imagination when people are intuitive, or they have a feeling something's going to happen and it happened, and they think that maybe it's just imagination. But imagination is much more important than we think it is, because if you can't imagine, you therefore then can't create. And so you'll have to be able to imagine, what would it be like for you when you have started this new thing? How does that feel? What am I going to be doing with that? But you have to have imagination to do it. But with that comes creativity and spontaneity. And many times we have forgotten how to be spontaneous. So we're going to be talking about this in the other modules. How do we create that or bring that back into our life? Because it's through these spontaneous activities and imagination and creativity that we then flourish, and we develop, we become somebody else by bringing that back into our life.
Wonderful tools with Dr. Lotte Valentin. We can literally become our divine potential. You're a beautiful teacher for this, and we thank you, Dr. Lotte. Would you like to share anything else about this course?
It creates it sort of opens your doors. It literally I named it Awaken Your Divine Potential, because that's really what's happening. But many times I feel people get stuck with just doing one thing, and they think by doing this one meditation or by doing this one manifestation exercise they're going to change their lives. But life is much more complex than that, and it really, you have to embody these different experiences and knowledge that you will gain from these different modules, because it's really you're really changing who you are and how you're thinking about things, because it awakens that from within you by opening these doors that were closed for a long time. And that is really what I'm trying to do, is just help people awaken to and live their life to their fullest potential, and changing tracks if they need to, and become more intuitive and learn to connect with the spirit guides, so that they can be more intuitive and spiritually guided as they walk through life.
You also mentioned
Mhm,
that you'll get messages from children very
mhm.
quickly. There's something so innocent about the messages from children.
Right. So children have a way of giving us messages that we sometimes, we think of children, oh, that was such a rude comment. But if you look at it deeper, maybe it was really hit that spot on, because children have a way of seeing things, or seeing, underneath the curtain, so to speak, and they can see more intuitively who the person is. And that's, I think, why sometimes children will just say something that can sound rude, and the mother's like, oh no, don't say that, say sorry to the poor man now. But that child picked up on something, because they live at a lower frequency, lower brain waves than we do. They sort of live in the imaginary world. So children like ages 2 to 6 don't have reasoning skills yet, because they're not thinking at the alpha level or the beta level, right? So we're kind of functioning at the beta and alpha, and they're functioning more at the theta and the delta level. So that's why they can, take a little card or a piece of paper and turn it into a fire engine, right? To them, it literally is a fire engine. But so we're going to be talking about how children operate in their world and how we operate in our world. But sometimes these children give us messages that maybe was, a deeper meaning for us, because many times when we hear a message like that from a child, we just sort of discard it and we don't pay attention to it, especially if it was a rude comment, right? But that message could be important if you just dissect it a little bit and really listen to it, because they are just much more connected to the other side than we are. It is that innocence and imagination, and connected to the spirit world in a different way than we are. And many children have memories of past lives, And for those who saw the Netflix series, I think it was called Surviving Death, they did have some of those children that have now grown up that had very, very vivid memories and knew the exact airplane in World War II, and even could mention names of people. And the parents had no idea what was going on. And then they did research. And I believe they worked with the MD, Jim Tucker, who has written a book on this, as well as has Ian Stevenson, did original research with a lot of children, I believe, in India. But we already know that children can remember past lives. So again, children have this very divine connection, um, of connecting to the spirit world, but also being more imaginative, and then also literally bringing us adults messages so that we can look at things differently.
Thank you, Dr. Lottie, for your incredible work and your teachings.
Thank you so much for having me.